In this video, I want to have a look at factorising by grouping. So this is a method of factorisation that we can sometimes use when an expression has 4 terms. So let's have a look at some examples. Our first one is 12xy minus 9x minus 16y plus 12. So to factorise by grouping, we're going to look at the first 2 terms first and see which common factor they have. So they've got a common factor of x, and they also have a common factor of 3. So for those first 2 terms only, we're going to pull out a common factor of 3x. So that will leave us here with 4y and minus 3 here. So that's the first 2 terms, and we're going to look at these second 2 terms. Because that first term starts with a negative, we're going to pull out a negative, and the common factor is 4. So we're going to pull out a minus 4, and that will leave us here, minus 16y divided by minus 4 will leave us with 4y, and 12 divided by minus 4 will leave us with minus 3. So in factorising by grouping, when you get to this stage, the terms in your 2 sets of brackets should be the same. If they're not, something's gone wrong. So now we look at this, and we've got 2 terms now, and they both have a common factor of that bracket. So that whole bracket is the common factor that we're going to pull out the front. So that 4y minus 3, and then we write down what's left, which will be our 3x minus 4. So this term up here with 4 terms factorises to 4y minus 3, 3x minus 4. Let's have a look at a second example. So in this one we've got ax minus ay minus cx minus cy. Oops, sorry, that should be a plus there. Okay, in this one, if we look at our first 2 terms, we've got an a as a common factor, and we'll be left with x plus y. And in the second 2 terms, we've got that minus c as a common factor, and we'll be left with x plus y again. And the reason that's a plus is because we've pulled out a common factor of minus c, so minus cy divided by minus c will leave plus y. So now we've got a common factor of that whole x plus y bracket, and left over is the a minus c. So it factorises to x plus y outside of a minus c. Let's have a look at one last example. So in this one, we've got x squared minus y squared plus 2x minus 2y. Okay, so we're going to look at factorising these first 2 terms first. Now when you look at it, x squared minus y squared, that doesn't have any common factors. But what you should recognise is that that's the difference of 2 squares. So we're going to factorise the first 2 terms as x plus y, x minus y. And then we can look at these second 2 terms and see that they have a common factor of 2. So we'll pull out 2 and we'll be left with x minus y. So now looking at the 2 terms, they both have a common factor of this x minus y. So that's what we'll pull out as our common factor. And what we're left with is this x plus y and plus 2. So we'll have x plus y plus 2. So it's a combination of difference of 2 squares and factorising by grouping in that example. So it's a few examples of factorising by grouping.